Are you wondering which Sonos speakers is the right for you? So in this video, I will quickly go over all of the Sonos speakers that exist, even the ones that are not on the table right now. Let's start with one of my favorite, which is the Sonos One. This speaker is perfect if you just want to have one speaker that just play music and you don't really care about the quality. Not that it played bad, but compared to others, it's kind of ordinary. In my head, it's the perfect speaker if you want to set one speaker in every single room of your house to have music floating everywhere. The idea is that you don't get a huge speaker that can play very loud in a single room so that you can hear it in other room. You set one small speaker in every room that play at a low volume so you can have music everywhere. You can make it play loud, but you won't be very satisfied. It's a speaker that can play at low volume and that can play at, let's say, normal volume. It's not a party speaker. The Sonos One come in two models. You have the One and the One SL. SL stands for speechless. So this means that there's a slight difference in the price of those two. So the One does have Google Assistant and Alexa and Sonos voice that I don't really like. And the SL doesn't have that, but cost few bucks less. The next one is the Era 100, which is, I would say, an upgrade of the Sonos One. It plays way better for a bit more money, but it really plays way better. I would say that you can take it to a bit higher level, not too much. Still, it's a speaker made to put in every single room of your house that will play at low and regular volume. But it just plays so much better. There is also microphone on this one, like the one, to make the voice control enabled, but Google Assistant is not compatible with this one. You only got Alexa and Sonos. Oh, and both of these speakers can be used as surround in your cinema. So you have your front speakers, you can use them as surrounds. Moving to the third speaker, the Sonos 5. Oh, I like this one, the big guy. This is really a solid speaker. If you go on the Sonos website, you can also see that they had hi-fi next to it. And yeah, I would say that it's a hi-fi speaker. It really it's a solid speaker. This one, yes, you can set it like the two other one in each room. That would make a solid kit. This one can play at low volume, regular volume, high volume, no problem. It play well all the time. You can also set it as surround speakers if you want the ultimate experience. Its only cons is that it doesn't have the voice assistant, so no Alexa, no Sonos, no Google Assistants, nothing. It's just a solid multi-room speakers. And well, what I would do, if money is not a trouble, put one of these big guy in all of your room, you will have something very solid. If you want speakers in all of your room, but your budget have a limit, well, go for a One or a Era 100 for every room and a Sonos 5 for the room that you will use the most to listen to music. So this is it for the big guy. Oh no, it can be set on this side and it can also be set on that side. In fact, on this side, it's a stereo speaker and on this side, it's a mono speaker. So if you want to have it on this side and stereo, you need to make a pair out of it. So two Sonos 5 in the same room, and that's awesome. The next one is the Move, which is a great speaker. This one is also a multi-room speaker, but have the ability to move. Actually, there's that handle at the back, so you can carry it very easily. It's powered by its docking station and the battery. So you take it, you move it, and you have hours of battery. I think they say 11 hours on the website, and it's pretty much accurate. Maybe not 11, but I did some tests and I was surprised of how long it can last. I think I already, at low volume, overpassed that 11 hours. That's the great speakers that you can move everywhere. This one works on Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So it's on Wi-Fi when you're at home, and when you want to take it away, you bring it with you. You can set it on Bluetooth to connect your phone on it and make your music play, and it plays very well. Just take a note that the Bluetooth connection of this speaker cannot be shared with the other. When it's in Bluetooth mode, it is in its own bubble and doesn't talk with the other speakers, which is a feature that I forget to tell about the Era 100 and the 300 that we will come soon. The Bluetooth connection of those two speakers can be shared with the other speakers. Not the case with this one. Oh, it is drop resistance and water resistance to IP56. Okay, now there's a speaker that I don't have with me. It's the Sonos Roam. And this speaker is great for anybody who have money to waste. Basically, it's a mini Sonos Move, but I think that the sound quality is terrible. It's so terrible that you won't use it as a home speaker. It can connect on the Wi-Fi, just like the Move. It's really like a mini Move. But it's so small that the sound quality is terrible for a home speaker. And I don't think it's worth it to bring it with you to have that kind of audio quality. Unless you really, really don't care about audio quality and you just care about the volume. Well, if I'm on the go, I would simply use headphones or not listen to music, rather than listening to that Sonos Roam. The Roam is even more waterproof, up to IP67, and well, let's go to the next speaker. Because the next one is also a speaker that I don't really like. That's the Era 300. This guy. Its huge feature is that it is Dolby Atmos compatible. And I think Dolby Atmos is something very overrated. Dolby Atmos is a technology that is made to shoot audio everywhere to create you a kind of bubble. So this is to say that if I set the speaker just right here, because it has speakers on top over here, and on the side, it will shoot it on the wall, on the ceiling, and it will come back to me, and it will create that bubble of sound around me. And yes, if you listen to Dolby Atmos compatible content, it kind of creates that bubble. But never the same way as if you really put speakers all around you. That is the real thing. If you want that kind of effect, just put more speakers in your room and you will have way much better than this. And the other thing is that I think a lot of people buy this speaker just because it is Dolby Atmos, but for around the same price, you can buy two Sonos Era 100, put two in your room, and you will really have that effect, even if this is not a Dolby Atmos speaker. And the next point is that it doesn't play this well. Well, in fact, I don't like the quality of the audio I got on this speaker. I think the audio quality is terrible for the price you put it. So the thing is that you put money on Dolby Atmos more than the speakers itself. So I would rather get a great quality of speaker instead of a speaker that is Dolby Atmos. If your great quality of speaker is Dolby Atmos, well, that's a great thing. But don't get a speaker because it is Dolby Atmos. So, it doesn't play that well, but its strong point is that it's Dolby Atmos that I think is overrated. It is Bluetooth compatible and it can share that connection to the other Sonos speakers. It is also voice control enabled with Alexa only. You don't have Google Assistance with it. And well, that's it. Don't touch to it. Okay, we now have reached soundbar. Soundbar like the things that you connect just under your TV to get a better sound quality. There's actually 3 soundbar and there's an amp. So I'm not talking about device that you can connect on your TV. This is something that I should add. If you want to connect one of those speaker on your TV, the one I've just talked about, forget it, it's not made for that. If you want to connect a Sonos speaker on your TV, you need a soundbar or the amp. Nothing else. Those ones can be used as surround. I forget to say, they can be used as surround, the Era 100, the Sonos One and the Sonos 5. The Move cannot be used as surround because it's made to be moved, so not working. And the Era 300 can be used as surround if your soundbar is Dolby Atmos compatible. So, one last time, if you want to connect a Sonos device on your TV, the only possible way is with a Sonos soundbar or the amp. Nothing else. So, let's start with the cheapest option and finish with the most expensive. The first one is the Sonos Ray. I don't have with me, I only tested it. Well, I didn't fully test it, I just listened to it one time or two. And it doesn't feel to me like a real Sonos device. Sonos feel a bit premium in my head. I mean, not like super hi-fi devices, but for the category of multi-room speaker that you set everywhere, I think it feels premium. And the Ray just feel like if they tried to make a cheap soundbar to reach some customers that doesn't have a lot of money to then get them in the Sonos family with other devices. I don't think the Sonos Ray worth it. I would put more money to get at least the Beam. The Ray can play your music. The Ray can be paired with all of your other Sonos speakers in the same house. You can use surround with it. You can do all the same thing as the other Sonos soundbar, but it just doesn't play very well. The Beam, however, which is another soundbar that I don't have with me, but this one I already tested it play kind of well. It's not the one that will give you a super experience. I think it's made for a small room and also a small TV, because I think if you got a big TV, you will want to have the sound that go with it. But the Beam does play well, and I think it's a solid speaker. The Beam that you can find on the Sonos website as of today is the Beam Gen 2, so this one is Dolby Atmos. It got voice assistance, and it can be paired with all of your other Sonos devices. It got an HDMI ARC, and with an adapter you can also connect an optical input. So this is for the Beam. And then we've got the biggest bar there is at Sonos, and this one I think is really awesome, is the Sonos Arc. That big guy does play really, really well. Well, if I had to choose a soundbar of any brand to put with my TV, that would be this one. Actually, I'm using it in my office. I think it's set well. I only use it to listen to music because I used that one previously to listen to my TV, but right now it does a very great job at playing music. There is 11 speakers inside of it. Some are sending audio on top because yes, it is Dolby Atmos. It have kind of subs on the side. You won't have a very bold bass. I always recommend to add a sub, but we will come back on this later. And yes, it shoots audio in every direction. It is absolutely amazing to voices. So the sound of voices doesn't fail under the explosion or those things. You always hear the voices very well. You also got at the back an HDMI connection, an HDMI ARC to connect your TV, and also with the adapter you can connect over, whoa, it's heavy, an optical input. So that's up to you. That is the best soundbar you can get. Then, if you really want to have something serious for your cinema or any room that you want to listen to music, this is what I did. There is the Sonos amp. This one let you connect any regular speaker with those connections at the back. What you see behind me, maybe you see it like there, those are my Paradigm speaker. So yes, those are way better than my Sonos bar. Not Dolby Atmos or nothing. They are just speakers that play very well. So I can use those speakers that are not made by Sonos thanks to the Sonos amp. So they are just like regular Sonos speakers. They are inside my Sonos app and I can control everything. It's wonderful. I like it. Oh, behind there is an analog input and there's also an HDMI input. So same principle as the ARC or the beam plus the analog input plus a sub output. So you can use the Sonos sub with it, but you can also use any other sub with it. I think I forgot to say that the Sonos 5 does have a 3.5mm jack input. If you want to share something that you want to connect on this input, it can be shared with all other speakers. The amp is also a great solution if you have in-ceiling speakers, in-wall speakers, outdoor speakers, all of those things, you can use the amp. The amp is expensive, but it's worth the money. And don't underestimate it by its size. This little guy does have a lot of power. In fact, it got 125 watts per channel. And they play way better than a lot of bigger amp. The next one is the Sonos port, and I don't have that device with me. I don't really understand it. The port should be like the next level of the amp. So this means you have great speakers, but you want also something that is more powerful than the amp. You can use the port to connect it on your power amp. But the thing is, it is so expensive for what it is. I think it would be a great product if it would sell maybe at a quarter or at the fifth or of what they ask, because it's actually nothing. It's just a little plastic box that weighs nothing, that have analog input and output. It's just so expensive for what it is. There is no HDMI input, so you cannot use it for your cinema. No, the Sonos port is just too expensive for what it is and should at least have the HDMI possibility and maybe the Bluetooth and more. It feels like a Sonos taxes for not buying their own speaker, which is not the case of the Sonos amp because it does play very well. This is a video insert because I totally forgot to talk about a very important speaker. Let me get it. That is a heavy one, the Sonos sub. The big deal with the sub, and it's a speaker that plays so well, If I compare it with all of the sub that I've installed, all brand combined, this is one of the best. It is very expensive and it's worth the money. The big deal with that speaker is that it removed the low frequency job of the speaker you connected on. That might look stupid, but you can even pair it with the Sonos One, and yes, it does change everything. That speaker alone tried to do a great job with low frequency, but by doing so, it sacrificed the middle and the high frequency. If you remove the job of the low frequency and send it to that one, it's not a question to get huge boom boom. It's just a question to get something that play right. And when this speaker only play middle and high frequency, well, it's a great speaker. It's not something that I really recommend to buy this huge speaker for this little speaker, but yes, it does a big difference. I actually use it with my big loudspeaker I have in the back. If I would not live in loft with a lot of neighbor and have a lot more of money, I would have a sub in every room. Actually, there is also the Sub Mini that I did not test personally, but from a friend that still installed these kind of speaker, it told me that it play pretty much like the original Sub, but it reached its maximum level faster. So the Sub Mini could also be a great solution. So this is what I forget to add inside that video, so let's go back to the original video. And finally, there is one last device to talk about, and it's the Sonos Boost. I don't have one with me because I don't need it. The thing is with the Sonos Boost is that it creates a Sonos Net. A Sonos Net can be created with any Sonos speaker that have a Ethernet connector at the back. So I've got one on the 1, I've got one on the 5, I've got one on the amp, on the ARC. So I connect one of those speakers and it creates myself a Sonos Net. The use of the Sonos Net, I explained it in great detail into that video if you want to see it. But if I quick explain it, the goal of the Sonos Net is to remove the job of your networking gear to communicate with your Sonos device. So let's say that, well, in my case, that's my Sonos ARC that is connected with the Ethernet cable. So it creates, just like the Sonos Boost, a Sonos Net on which the other Sonos device will connect on. So it creates a meshing system. It's great if you have a very huge house and you don't have network everywhere. Well, because of the meshing system, you will have network everywhere thanks to the Boost or the Sonos Net from the speaker that is connected. Unfortunately, the newest speakers of Sonos are not compatible with that technology, which I think is kind of sad. They start with the Sonos Move. I said to myself, okay, maybe because it's a moving speaker, it's Bluetooth. I think it's sad, but okay. But now those new two speakers, the Era 100 and 300, are not Sonos Net compatible. In fact, they don't even have an Ethernet connector at the back. You can have the Ethernet connector with an adapter. But yeah, that's the use of the Sonos Net. So actually, if you have a really huge house and your network is not fine everywhere, I won't be sure about those two one. And the Move, of course. But the Move, I see it, you just got one, not 5. You got one Move to take with you and go away. So that was it for all the Sonos speaker there is available just right now. If you want to order one, there is my link in the description. If you use it, thank you, I do a commission out of it. And if you have any question, please ask in the question below. That will be my pleasure. So, take care and see ya.